inspiring evening because my guest tonight is coming from the young professionals of our community, and she's also from the academy. And it's good to know and just get some fresh insights and valuable information coming from a perspective of a young professional, or what we call in today's language as millennial. So without further ado, help me welcome my guest for tonight, Janice or Janice Rhea.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me, Paul.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. And for all our viewers, for those who are new to this segment, the Filipino Champions of Canada has been in the service of connecting, sharing, and inspiring one Filipino at a time. We do believe that our stories are powerful in terms of sharing and connecting and inspiring one Filipino at a time. And we have been highlighting our community and also most of our organizations in the Filipino-Canadian community here in Calgary. So tonight, first of all, Janice,
Yes.
can you please tell our viewers, briefly about yourself?
So again, my name is Janice Rhea Echavez. I am an internationally educated nurse, but as of now, I've been a registered nurse in Canada for about 3 years, going 4 years now. I am working in one of the hospitals here in Calgary, and at the same time, I also teach or facilitate the nurse licensure examination study group with Directions for Immigrants, and that's connected with Bow Valley College.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you know what? The Philippines is a number one source of nurses, around the world, and Canada is also one of the countries that has a lot of Filipino nurses here working and living in this beautiful country. So there's so many things that actually those who are watching us right now, especially those who are in the same field, may be able to learn and get something from our guest for tonight. But before we dive into getting to know more insights and information from Janice here.
Yes.
Let's try to be very casual here for now. So is there any fun fact that you want to know our audience about yourself?
About me, probably my hobbies, I would say. So I do love painting. I do oil, charcoal, and at the same time acrylic. But again, that's for my pastime.
Okay.
I dance. I dance
really?
hip hop, which they, it's kind of like unlikely.
Okay.
Apart from that, I do write songs before, and I love to travel. I travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not only that she is an accomplished nurse here, but she has also the artistic side. She can dance hip hop, and she's also a painter. Okay, let's go back to the Philippines. First of all, I want to know how long you've been here in Calgary.
In Calgary, 7 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So practically, you were in the Philippines. You grew up in the Philippines half of your life.
Yes, or
more than half of your life
yes.
right now.
I moved here 20 years old. I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
So practically, you're done college.
Yes.
Okay.
In the Philippines,
Okay. Let's start first from the very beginning. How was it like growing up in the Philippines for you?
It was. They were definitely happy times for sure. But of course, there were challenges along the way. Growing up in the Philippines, as I remember back then, we've moved from one city to another. So I was born in Manila and then moved to Cebu as well as Bacolod.
Okay.
So again, the moving was quite challenging. So moving to different schools were also different, but were also difficult. I mean, but yeah. We settled in Cebu. I was privileged enough that my parents kind of like brought me to a good school. So and yeah, it was I was blessed enough for that one, and
one of the things that a lot of maybe not familiar with a lot of non-Filipinos who are watching us right now. The Philippines is composed of more than 7,000 islands. And we do have different, we have distinct traits and attributes
True.
wherever you come from the Philippines. If you are from the Visayas, from the Mindanao area, or from Luzon.
Right.
And having moved from Luzon to different parts of Visayas, I think you've learned so many traits and values as well. So can you share to us what traits and values that were instilled in you when you were younger that you consider a very big factor in what you have achieved today as a professional?
I think the first major value that kind of like was instilled in me is gratitude. So being grateful to the opportunities that are available for you, or even the gestures that the people are kind of like providing to you, supporting you and all that stuff. So being grateful in general. Second one probably would be hard work. In order for me to reach to where I am right now, determination and hard work plays an important role. And I think resiliency. As you can see, like a lot of Filipinos, even though there are, anything that's negative coming in their way, any challenges that they have to face, they are very flexible enough to face it. And I think that's what brought me into where I am right now, just because of all the moves that I've that I've been through. So
very well said. You've mentioned three great traits actually
yes.
of being a Filipino: being resilient, being grateful, and just being a hard worker as a person. Okay. As a Filipino immigrant to Canada, I know that it's not easy to move to a new country.
That's right.
But you have a different probably perspective because you came here when you were almost done in college, and as opposed to those who have moved here when they were pretty much in their elementary years.
That's right.
So can you describe to us basically from your perspective, moving to this country after college? Of course, it's difficult to move to a country where you have already established, coming from the Philippines, your friends, your networks, and you're already, but at the same time, it's also easier because you're mature and you're open to a lot of opportunities. What it is like for you?
So it was hard. Coming here for sure. Like just the weather itself. It was a 360 degree for sure. We live in a tropical country, and then so coming here like with the winter and everything else. So weather-wise, second one would probably be the culture. Adapting to the lifestyle here in Canada. But I think me finishing my degree back there in the Philippines, and and coming here, the most challenging factor for me is kind of like how do you get into that profession, practice your profession here, because it's not easy. It's a long process. You have to keep waiting, be patient with all the wait times, and at the same time challenge yourself. I've done a lot of competency exams.
That's right.
And at the same time, I did the bridging program as well. So it took a while for me to actually reach that goal, and I think that was the...
Thank you for mentioning that, because a lot of times we hear stories like, they're nurses in the Philippines, but they're no longer working as nurses here.
Right.
So it seems to me that there are so many Filipino immigrants as well that are not actually pursuing their career here and working in a different field, which is not actually entirely a very bad situation. It's a choice at the same time.
That's right.
But for you, for those who are listening right now or watching us right now who are nurses and would like to come here and really pursue your profession, what educational preparation, what adjustments, and really what have you done so that you will be able to overcome and accomplish all these requirements for you to become or to be considered as a registered nurse here in Canada?
So preparation wise, because again, whatever educational background you came from, that's what you'll be bringing here to Canada. So whatever degree you came from, whatever degree you have, from the country you came from, that's what you'll be bringing here to Canada. So and in here, when you have that already, everything kind of like starts from scratch. it doesn't matter how much experience you have back from where you came from again, from the Philippines.
Whether you graduated on top of your class.
Or at the same time as to how many years of experience you have, you'll be facing the same challenges. So yeah, as for me though, I faced through, I did send my application to become a nurse here, and also did this competency exam. So I did actually a 5-day competency exam here in Calgary. And again, that's, I think, for most people who did, for most nurses as well, international educated nurses who came here, I think they would kind of like relate to my situation. So they did that as well. Again, even though they have a lot of experience back.
But is there a shortcut?
No, there's no shortcut.
There's always that
the long process will always be there. So again, competency exams. After that, depending on the results of your competency exams, you do a few courses under the bridge program, and after that, you do the licensure examination. But again, it's kind of like a holistic approach when you face the challenge. It's not just like you again being the top of the class or whatsoever, but basically preparing yourself in dealing with
okay, so coming from the Philippines, you're already a registered nurse, is that
yes?
Okay, so now you moved to Calgary, and can you tell us how many years did you finish all this accreditation, competency exams, bridging programs before you became a registered nurse here?
It took me almost 3 years.
Oh, it's almost like enrolling in another course. Yeah, it's like
in another course. Yeah, it took me. So when I applied through CARNA, which is the regulatory board here in Calgary, it took me 9 months before I can take the competency exam.
Oh, wow.
So before they let me take that, and then. Again, that was a 5-day examination. From that point, again, it's a waiting period before you can be enrolled into the bridging program. So I did a few courses there, and then...
Okay, I do understand that there is the process where you have to go through and really earn that degree before you become recognized as a registered Canadian nurse. But if based on your experience now that you are a Canadian registered nurse, if there is something that you would like to change for those who are, if you are an advocate for an immigrant nurse or internationally trained nurse, what change would you want to initiate so that this will become more easier or this will be more efficient for those who wants to pursue nursing here?
So again, I've been advocating. I've attended to a national conference that deals with internationally educated nurses. That was back in 2016 in Vancouver. And I've also been part of the advisory committee with Mount Royal University. So for 5 years now. So on my end, and we've been kind of like, I've been talking to the nursing leaders as well regarding to changing a bit of the laws and the regulations that we have here for internationally educated nurses. Before I asked them about language issues as well.
I think experience should be considered.
Experience should be considered first thing and foremost. So education-wise as well, to kind of like accredit the bachelor's degree back in the Philippines, and you consider that 4-year kind of like program, because sometimes the 4-year program that we have back then in here is just equivalent to like 2 or 3 years. So.
But is there a hope for in the future? Do you see that it will open up to a really more not easier but a more realistic
more practical way
of really coming here, having 20 years of experience as a nurse or even as an engineer, those things should be considered that it would be more practical and in terms of because it takes a lot of money too, not only time.
I know it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. I am hoping.
Okay.
So I am hoping, but again, the laws have been changing for the past 5 years that I've been with the advisory committee and dealing with internationally educated nurses like myself. I've been I think there's like three major changes that had happened already.
It's improving. Things are changing.
But as of now, it's quite hard.
It's quite hard still.
Quite hard
you still have
yeah.
to earn that spot.
Yes.
That's not an easy thing to do.
It's not an easy thing to do, yes.
Okay,
That's right.
now you are a Canadian registered nurse. You've worked in the Philippines, and you've also had practicum in the various hospitals there. Your training is very, very rigid there, as far as my knowledge is concerned. But coming to Canada as a Canadian registered nurse, what do you find most challenging in your job here?
Yeah. Oh, so sorry. I didn't work as a registered nurse back there, so I came like as a new graduate.
Okay, even as your experience,
student experience
as a practicum nurse, whatever. Yeah.
And then so basically for here, the most challenging thing I think as practicing as a registered nurse here in Canada would be dealing with difficult patients.
Okay.
I think any nurses would relate to that one. So you really need to have that patience. You need to have that empathy, because I think all of the patients as well are dealing with their own issues too.
Yes.
So you have to put yourself in their shoes. I think that's
and that's the core of the job. Of being
that's
a
the core
nurse.
of the job. Yeah,
Yes.
that's part of your profession. So
okay, there's also this. It's not a controversy, but it's just something that a lot of people are talking about, being a millennial in the workplace.
Right.
As you can see, the workplace is changing as well.
Yes.
Regardless of profession, what your profession is, what degree or field that you come from, there is this issue about millennials in the workplace.
That's right.
And as you are a millennial per se, what do you think are the issues confronting the millennials in the workplace?
I don't think there's really an issue of millennials working in the workplace, because in my profession, again, when you're working in the hospital or wherever you're at, you always show your professionalism as a registered nurse. So you carry that name, you carry that title. But I think what millennials bring to the workplace is that us millennials, we don't like to work, and I'm just putting this as a generalization. It's not only me. There might be others who have a different outlook, like different millennials have a different outlook from me, but we don't want to work full time kind of thing. We want to have that work-life balance. Yes, that flexibility. Yeah. So we work, and we like for my sake, I like to travel. So and at the same time use that whatever knowledge I have as well to kind of like incorporate in another field.
Yes,
right?
I think I agree with you. But let me mention one of the issues or concerns about millennials in the workplace. I've just read this somewhere. This is not my personal experience as well. That millennials have this self-entitlement. They come to work, they're new, and they want to just be the president right away, or somebody who's going to lead an organization. Is this true?
There might be some millennials that are driven. I would say career-driven, goal-oriented, which is a good thing. Yeah, but I just want to say, like, still be down to earth and be humble.
Work your way up.
But still, like, be how do you call this? Not to be like a know-it-all kind of thing. Always don't always ask questions if you're not sure of doing a procedure or a skill or something like that. All right. Yes.
So we're down to the last few questions for this interview. And I don't want this to be missed because as a Filipino-Canadian working and living in this country, we are considered as the, active contributors in building this great nation. Right. So coming from a perspective of a Filipino-Canadian young professional, what do you think is the biggest contribution that you guys can contribute in building this country?
So us internationally educated nurses, we bring so much to the workforce. We work like Filipinos in the most part actually bring a lot to the healthcare sector, not only as nurses but to the different fields as well, with regards to healthcare. So I think that's
the greatest
contribution of my profession.
Yes. And also, as a country, Canada is known to be multicultural.
That's right.
If there's one thing that you learn from other cultures, having worked and lived in this multicultural city, what would that be that you would like to emulate and practice?
If it is multicultural, I think in being independent. So as Filipinos, again, we sometimes rely on our parents or the family as we are growing up. So independence is what I would like to assimilate or kind of like instill in practice as well. Even though I am doing that, but for the generation, is to be independent. Try to support yourself as well, so that you won't be like a burden to your parents or to your elders. Yeah,
you've said that you've really identified one values that we can actually learn from other cultures, especially the Canadian culture.
Oh yes, that's right.
Very independent. As young as they are, they're already very independent. Okay, so for the last question, as we all know, June is considered to be, has been proclaimed as the Filipino Heritage Month because of the contribution of the Filipinos here in Canada. Right now, there are more than 750,000 Filipinos across Canada. And we are considered to be the fastest growing immigrant community in Canada. So if you were given the chance to speak to non-Filipinos. Let's pick the non-Filipinos. What can you share, or what are you proud of our culture and heritage?
So I would say the Filipino traits and the Filipino values. And especially respect to the parents, respect to the foundation as we are growing up. As Filipinos, we are very generous, we're very open and welcoming people, and I think that's what I wanted to share to the world and to Canada itself as well, that the culture of the Philippines, the heritage of the Philippines is an amazing thing, and I want to share that value to them as well.
Very well said, Janice. Thanks for sharing your insights with us tonight. And I know if there are some of you here who are watching us right now who would like to know more about how to become a nurse here in Canada. Janice here is an NCLEX facilitator and is a well-experienced registered nurse here in Canada. So just, reach out to her, or maybe you can send me a message to TFCC and I can connect you with her. So thanks for joining us, and it's another inspiring evening. I hope that you've learned something from this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thanks.